Well, hello, glorious people of the interwebs, and welcome to some more real-life things. In the previous episode, we built an ultimate Corgi-approved PC. Now, this thing is pretty amazing, but I did a little bit of an oopsie. I had some misinformation on the number of PCIe lanes, which resulted in some not-so-stellar performance. Now, I have been able to fix those, but for me to be able to run this PC the way I want to, we need to do some upgrading. Now, this is an upgrade I had been planning to do for a while, but I was putting it off until the next chipset that comes out, probably in like July, August time. But thanks to Asus, we're able to do it a little early. So let's go ahead and show off the parts that are going to be going in this PC, and then we'll get it built. So, right here, we've got the Ryzen 2750X. 2950. What are you? The 2950X. So this is a 16 core, 32 thread, Threadripper, amazing CPU. It's gonna have plenty of PCIe lanes, and we're gonna be putting that inside of the ROG Zenith Extreme Alpha, which Asus was kind enough to provide to us for this build, and I would not have been able to do it without them. So shout out to Asus for being amazing. Thank you so much. Now, obviously, we're going to be putting two RTX 2080 Ti's in there, an EVGA 1200 watt power supply. We got new cables I'm going to be putting in there from Asia Horse. You can get these on Amazon. Really good cables. The colorization doesn't show up well on the camera, but it's a really nice purple. And we're going to be doing a purple liquid cooling build on this later on once the new chipset comes out. I've also got 32 gigabytes of Trident Z RGB RAM, and then two of these beautiful M.2s. We've got a 970 and a 960 Evo. So, there's a lot of amazing features in this particular board, which is why I'm really excited to be building this. This is gonna allow me to do a lot of the things that I want out of a workstation. So I'm particularly excited about this. I hope you all enjoy the video, and let's go ahead and get building. Lumbago has pretty much taken apart all of the computer here, so say goodbye to the Ryzen 2700X. We're gonna have a Corgi-approved Threadripper PC, the Corgi-Ripper PC, almost ready to go. I can't words. So right now, we're working on getting everything installed onto the new motherboard, and I wanted to actually discuss a couple of the reasons why we're going with Threadripper and why I really, really wanted this motherboard. There's a couple specific features on here that are very nice. Oh yeah, plastic peeling porn right there. So one of the main reasons is this DIMM.2 slot. Now, a lot of people don't know that your M.2s are only as efficient as they can stay cool. So we've got two of these right here. Now, on most motherboards, you're gonna get your M.2s in here. Now, there are three other M.2 slots under this heat shield, which is really nice having the heat shield because when these get hot, they're gonna run slower. So you can only get the full performance out of your M.2s if they stay cool. Now, since we're running this in SLI, it's gonna get hot as shit down here. So, what I really like about this is we have this right here, which is included with the motherboard. This is a DIMM.2. Now, what we can do is we can install both of these M.2s right inside of here. We can plug it in here, and this is going to allow our fans up top to blow down right onto them to keep them cool. Our fans over on the right side of the case to also take air across it. So it's going to be a really good setup to make our M.2s as efficient as possible, so we're not wasting money on these bits. And that's really, really nice. We've also got an LED here, which is going to allow us to see. Obviously, you can't see it since it's not started. But when we do overclock this, which we're not going to be able to do until we get the custom loop set up, we'll actually be able to see what the basically what the clocks are running at live. And then this is really important. With these Threadrippers, when you're overclocking them, the VRM down here gets so hot when you're overclocking a Threadripper CPU. And this header right here, this heatsink, actually has fans, two fans attached right to it. But it's going to keep our VRM nice and cool when we actually do overclock it. So that's why I really like this board, and I'm just so happy that Asus actually reached out to me and got the same board that I had in my cart ready to go. So thank you so much once again. But now we just need to basically test, make sure everything's good. We're going to get it into the PC and we'll continue with the build. Now you know you got yourself a beast CPU when the thing is held in with not one, but 2 clamps and 3 screws. This thing is ridiculous. Thankfully, it did come with the adapter that I need for the liquid cooler. We'll get into this in a second and why I need to upgrade to a custom loop to be using this CPU effectively, in my opinion, especially if we're going to be overclocking it. That's pretty much one of the only ways. But yeah, this thing is a monster. It even weighs heavy. It's crazy. The Corgi KO'd on me. We can't have an ultimate Corgi PC without the Corgi helping. Now, many of you have been asking about the PC giveaway, and here's a little bit of a preview. Got a 1080 Ti right on top there, which we're going to be installing, and hopefully it still works. I did another oopsie where I may or may not have dropped it. It's a little bent, but I think it's still going to work perfectly fine. We'll see here. But yeah, otherwise we've got things pretty good here. Just working on making sure all the wiring... The one thing I hate is that there's nothing up here. It's just open. Now what I should have done, I guess, but I would have had to rewire all the fans, is put the cooler up top just to fill that gap a little bit. Probably would have been a little bit nicer. But I think when I put the liquid cooling, I'm going to put the pipes there anyways. So it's not going to be too bad. Now, if you're wondering what case this is the Leon Lee 011 Dynamic. One of the best cases I have ever used, especially in the price range. Super awesome to build in, but we're almost done. We've got some benchmarking to do. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have got it up and running. We are back and ready to go. Now, one of the great things is, I don't know if you can see it. Let's put it down here. Asus is including, finally, a little USB drive for all of the drivers. And keep in mind, these are probably going to be just the release drivers, because it's just release. I don't know if they're going to be updated, but if you do end up getting one of these motherboards, you'd probably end up having to update the drivers afterwards, but at least you got the start of it now, which is really nice. So we're going to get all the drivers installed and finally see what this baby can do. Lengthy testing, playing Anthem in 4K, completely maxed out, and I was a little worried about the possibility of the CPU temperatures being a little too high, because this doesn't actually cover 100% of the CPU. Even though it is approved for use, the cooling, these things do run really hot as it is. We're sitting at 67 degrees Celsius, which isn't really too bad for a Threadripper CPU. Obviously, if we were able to get full coverage, we'd have much better thermals, but everything's good. We're also able to record at 4K without any frame dips, which is really nice. I was having a lot of issues with OBS before with my previous setup, and things are absolutely amazing right now. I'm currently testing some Time Spy Extreme, and I've got the fans pretty much turned up all the way just to make sure all the thermals are good. Right now on this test, I don't know if you can see it, we're running about 45 degrees Celsius on the CPU, which is a lot better than I anticipated. The GPUs, we're going to see exactly how it's going here in a second, and then I'll be able to see how much room I have for overclocking. We're testing the thermals now on the CPU, doing a CPU stress test, and we're bouncing up to about 73 tops, and then it drops back down to about 69, which is typical for a CPU like this. They do run particularly hot, but it doesn't leave a lot of room for overclocking with this particular cooler. If I'm going to be overclocking this CPU a lot, I definitely need either an air cooler that covers the entire CPU, or obviously get my custom loop going. So we're going to get there. It's just a matter of time. Oh, that's super duper out of focus. So working on stressing the CPU right now just to see what my headroom for temperatures are. And it peaked at 73 and then would drop down to 69, peak at 73 and then drop back down. So we got a little bit of headroom, but if I really want to overclock the CPU and just have it, just overclock all the cores, I really do need something that covers the entire chip rather than this air cooler. It's doing plenty of a good job without overclocking, but definitely going to need that custom loop installed soon. Decided to slightly overclock the GPUs. We got 50 megahertz on the memory, and I put 100 on the clock. Now, we do get thermals up to about 84 degrees Celsius, with the fan set at 84%, and that's on the top card. The bottom card is quite a bit cooler. We've got a little bit of an issue here. The Elgato capture card, for some strange reason, will not run at the very bottom slot, which is a by 4 slot, even though the Elgato capture card is supposed to be running on a by 4 slot. It seems to only want to work in a by 8. Now, technically, I should be able to run 16, 8, 16, and 8, but for some reason, I'm not 100% sure why, I can't get the motherboard to turn that last PCIe slot into a by 8, so I'm kind of stuck slamming that Elgato capture card in between these two, which is increasing the thermals on my RTX card just a little bit. It's not terribly higher, but you can see we're getting up to 79, 80 degrees, 81. I think we're topping out at about 84 degrees Celsius, but that's without a long gaming session. If I'm recording, I could be playing for 2 or 3 hours. Those temps might get up to about the 89 degrees Celsius area, where these cards will start, throttling, which is not good. But we're getting some pretty good scores on the benchmark so far. So not too shabby so far. We scored a 17780 with TimeSpy, which isn't really a big increase from the 2700X. You can see here in the results, our TimeSpy with the 2950X was 17780, and then down here on our 2700, it was 17733. So not much of a difference there, but the big difference is going to be in TimeSpy Extreme, which is 4K gaming, and that's where things get a lot more interesting. With the 2950X, we scored 10,533. With the 2700X, we scored 8,912. So a pretty decent increase there, just by upgrading the CPU. So we're going to be playing in 4K on pretty much everything, so pretty decent increase. We still haven't really overclocked the CPU or the GPUs. We're going to wait until liquid cooling for that. I did overclock the GPUs a little bit this time, pretty much to match what I had overclocked before, but I really don't want to mess with the thermals too much. I'd rather just keep it the way it is. But that's it. We've got our Threadripper PC fully built. So thank you once again, Asus, for sending out that amazing motherboard there. And I hope you guys all enjoyed the build. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.